We're going to be learning about other lipids. We're also going to be learning about fats, steroids, cholesterol, and phospholipids, and more specifically, their specific functions in biology. The guided question for today is, how do different lipids support different biological functions? And we're going to be specifically looking at how these structures, like fats and steroid hormones, cholesterol, phospholipids, how do they support biological function? Now, lipids have many different functions. We use it as long-term energy storage, especially around the stomach. It is also very important for cell function, because it makes up the cell membrane. Okay, it controls what goes in and out of the cell for the membrane structure, but we also need hormone signaling, which controls cell function, membrane stability, meaning is this membrane going to be fluid enough that things can actually diffuse through it? And then also insulation, keeping us nice and warm. The first one we're going to be looking at is fats. Okay, now fats are triglycerides, and it's called triglycerides because it has 1, 2, 3 fatty acid tails. Okay, and those are triglycerides. Now, in our body, we store that as fat, and we store it in adipose tissue, and plants store it in seeds. Okay, it's like an oily substance, fats. We use it as insulation. So if it's a cold environment, the heat kind of like stays inside. It's like a very warm blanket. Okay, it insulates us. And then also cushioning. If you hit a fat tissue, it will kind of like wobble because it is absorbing that shock. So fats are rather absorbing that shock instead of organs. So in that way, it's cushioning, it's cushioning and protecting the organs from impact. Now, fats are important for stored energy, and in some organisms, insulation. That is the most important thing you have to take away from fats, is that it stores energy and it can also act as insulation. Steroids. Okay. Steroid hormones, they have 4 carbon rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they can travel freely through the body. So they travel in the bloodstream, from one organ to another. And some steroids act as hormones. Okay, now hormones are chemical signals that affect physiological functions. So the hormone would enter the cell, and then there would be a sequence of events happening, and it would have a biological effect or a change. Okay, now hormones can directly cross over the cell membrane because they are lipids, because they do not interact with water. And we have the phospholipid layer. Okay, this layer is non-polar. So hormones can just go straight through. They have no problem going through other non-polar regions. Now, hormones are very important for our growth and development, for our energy metabolism, and also homeostasis, like keeping an constant internal balance. Cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is very important for membrane stability. We've already learned that a membrane can become more fluid if it has more kinks, or if it's more unsaturated, and if it's saturated, it's more solid. Okay, because it's just straight tails that can like pack on top of each other, and these ones have kinks, so they can't pack as closely. Now, cholesterol is a lipid found in animal cell membranes. Now, the required AP function that you need to understand is that cholesterol provides structural stability to animal cell membranes. This means cholesterol helps the membrane maintain a proper structure. It is something that is cholesterol. It's not only something discussed in how to diet, it has a structural role in animal cells. So what happens at cold temperatures, okay, these phospholipids want to pack really, really tight together. And then cholesterol is like, no, you are going to keep some space, okay, because we need that space. We need that space for substances to come through. So it helps it stay more fluid, okay? So cholesterol prevents that packing tightly and maintaining the fluidity within the cell membrane. So substances can still cross over and get out of the cell easily. At high temperatures, it also stabilizes the cell membrane. So at high temperatures, these molecules want to move apart. And cholesterol is like, no, you are staying together. Okay, so at high temperatures, it prevents too much fluidity. At low temperatures, it's trying it. If there's limited fluidity, it makes it more fluid. And if it's too hot, it's too fluid and it makes it less fluid. So it's really important in animal cell membranes that we maintain the right amount of fluidity so that substances can go into the cell and out of the cell. Phospholipids and membrane formation. So phospholipids are part of the cell phospholipid bilayer. And it's called a phospholipid bilayer because it has two layers. So this is layer 1 and layer 2. That's why it's a bilayer. And phospholipids have a head, okay, and a tail. And you can see that it has two free fatty acids. The head is hydrophilic, meaning it is polar. It is polar, so it loves to interact with water and form hydrogen bonds with water. But the tails are non-polar, okay? And because they're non-polar, they're hydrophobic, so they do not interact with water. So that means water has like a really tough time crossing over the cell membrane, as it can interact with the phospholipids, but it really has a tough time crossing over this fatty layer because it doesn't interact with those molecules. For example, an animal cell has a lower amount of cholesterol in its cell membrane than normal. So this is the normal amount of cholesterol within a cell membrane. Now, let's say there was some disease type, and now all of a sudden, this animal cell has lower cholesterol than normal. Now, your prompt is to predict one possible effect on the cell membrane and justify your prediction. So predict and justify. You can use this frame. So if cholesterol decreases, the membrane may become less stable. Okay, because cholesterol normally provides stability. Yeah, and this could make it harder for the membrane to maintain its proper structure. And that's basically it. You predict what will happen and you justify your response. If you enjoyed that video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and can join us on the Skool.com community page where you'll find AP Bio blueprints. And if you take a look inside, you will see that Unit 1 is completely free. See you all there.